something that I've been noticing is that in my city, there's a lot of very vocal, very loud white liberal men. And you'll hear them talk all the time about women's equality and gender equality and LGBTQ and all of these things, and they're constantly like very vocal advocates for this. More often than not, you're going to hear them say, oh yeah, I'm looking for my best friend, I'm looking for a 50-50 relationship, I want an equal partner. None of those things are inherently bad, but oftentimes it means that they are not wanting to add to your life. Stay with me. What it really means to them, what 50-50 means to them, is like splitting life 50-50. Doing life 50-50, sharing the load 50-50.
Even feminists want to be taken care of at the end of the day. And that's all this is about. I can stop the video right here, but I'm going to let it continue.
Recognize, even though they understand logically that they have a lot of privilege and we live in a world where I have less privilege, they don't think that it's actually 30-70. They think that 50-50 will get them an equal partner, but really what they're going to have to do is come alongside of me, especially as a woman of color. You're going to have to come alongside me and make sure I can get that 20%. So what does that look like? I think it depends on every couple, but like, it's not a 50-50 out the gate. It's a 70-30. How are we going to like resolve this? And
honestly, I don't know where these people get this sort of ideology. You know what? I do. It's college. They go to college and, they turn out like this. Honestly. Look, let me just give you guys some food for thought real quick. Based on my experience, based on how I see life, right? I have a 22-year-old son. I'm going to tell you guys what I tell him. Let's just say you're 25, you're fresh out of college, or you went to a trade school. Hopefully you went to a trade school and you're making maybe $50,000, maybe $60,000 out the gate. And the first thing you do is run out and get yourself an apartment. My question to you is why? Why would you do that? And I know the answer. The answer is because you guys want your own space. You want to be able to bring chicks back to the house, blah, blah, blah. Why would you want to pay $1,800 to $2,500 a month just to say you're independent? When that money every month could be stacking. That's your future right there, leaking out every single month. Look, if you've got parents that you can live with, stay home. If not, if you don't, rent a room. Not a one-bedroom. Not a one-bedroom apartment, not a luxury studio, where you're paying $25. No, I'm talking about a single room where you're sharing a common bathroom, kitchen, a room. Keep your overhead as low as possible. Because here's the reason why. If you have student loans, pay them all first. Right? If you're disciplined, you can stack $30,000, maybe $40,000 if you add your taxes in at the end of the year. If you're truly, truly disciplined, you do that for 5 years, maybe 7 years. Now you're in a position to buy a house outright. I'm not talking about a mansion, right? It's going to be a starter home, a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom, somewhere with low taxes, manageable upkeep. That right there is called stability from the very beginning. Paid off. All you're responsible for is the upkeep, the taxes, and that's it. And if your taxes are $6,000 a year, you're living in a semi-decent neighborhood, guess what? That's a little over $500 in taxes a month. The utilities, maybe add another $500. Now you have your 2-bedroom house that you're paying into. It's your bank. And it's appreciating, right? Now let me add this, because a lot of people are not going to like what I'm about to say. The worst thing a mother or a father can do to their son is push him out the door the moment he graduates college or lands his first job. That's the worst thing they can do. That whole go be independent, go get your own apartment speech, that's setting him up for failure. Because what happens, here's what happens. He's making 50, 60 grand, right? And instead of stacking, he's burning 20,000 a year on rent, utilities, and nonsense. Just to prove he's what? He's grown? He hasn't even built the foundation yet. Parents think they're teaching their children, their son's responsibility. And what they're actually doing is robbing their son of the window of time he could be saving enough to buy his own home outright. His very first home, buy that shit outright. You want to cripple a young man's future? Tell him, go sign a lease before he's even saved a dime. Tell him to go buy a house with a 30-year mortgage he can't really afford. That's how you put him 10 steps behind before life even begins for him. In my opinion, that's not love, man. You don't love your son. That's bad guidance. Real love is allowing him to build quietly, letting him stack cash, letting him create a foundation so when he does step out, he never has to look back ever again in his life. He owns his own home outright. Now, I already know what happens. Somebody in the comments is going to say, but my mom keeps telling me to settle down. You know, son, go find a wife. Go start a family. Find someone who makes just as much as you. You guys can combine your income. You can have a house. That's what she's saying. That's what they're saying. But here's why you don't follow their advice. If you marry a woman making the same as you, let's say she's a nurse or a teacher. I don't know. She's pulling in $60,000, $70,000 on paper, right? Between the both of you, that's 140 grand combined. That looks great. Until it doesn't. What happens when divorce hits? Because the divorce rates right now are at 50%. You're basically gambling your whole future. And if that marriage ends, you can't afford the house on your income alone because you used her income to get it as well. Now you're selling it. You're splitting. You're starting over. And that sets you back another 5 to 10 years. Factor in child support. It's a mess. Even if you do stay, let's just say it does work out and you do stay. What about kids? Who's watching the kids? Your wife is going to have to stay home and take care of the kids, right? So now, and if she doesn't, if she goes back to work, then you're looking at maybe $1,500 a week just for childcare. That's one income gone right there. Right? Now you're back to one salary where now you have to make more money. You gotta step up your game or work an additional 8 hours, possibly get 2 jobs because now you lost one income. That's why I keep telling my son specifically, build your life on your income, Plan for divorce, plan for kids, plan for house repairs, plan for emergencies, because all of those things are real. They will happen. If you can't hold it down alone, then everything else will go to shit. You got to be able to hold it down alone. So that way, if your wife does decide to work, it's surplus. And the other thing I would say where a lot of you tend to trip up is once you guys get a raise, and let's just say, you're living in a one room, you guys immediately want to go out and level up and get into a 1-bedroom in a better building. You want to level up your lifestyle with a new car, nicer clothes. You want to take vacations unnecessarily. You're not winning when you're doing this. You're just spending money. You're trying to live and compare yourself with the Joneses, and you're trying to go on vacations with, you shouldn't be going on vacations the first 30 years of your life. Once you graduate college, it should be about work, and that is it. Paying off your student loans, saving your money so that way when you leave the nest, you can buy your own nest outright. If you were living in a one-bedroom apartment, stay at that level. Keep your expenses the same and invest the difference. Put them into stocks and assets, whatever grows while you sleep. That's how you separate yourself, because 10 years later, while everyone else is drowning in car payments and credit card bills and house repairs, you're sitting on property investments and freedom. Now, here's the part most guys don't realize when you live this way, when you're disciplined, when you're not listening to friends, when they say, hey, let's go take this trip to Cancun or the Bahamas or wherever. When you own your own home outright, when your life is built on just your income, you actually protect your relationship in the future, where you don't have to marry people like her. Why? Because your wife doesn't have to step into this thing we call survival mode. She doesn't have to become masculine just to keep the lights on. Because that's what happens. They become masculine when they have to work just as hard as you. You can allow her to stay feminine. She can raise the kids. She can contribute later if she wants. But it's not survival money. It's surplus money. That money can go on vacations now, the extras, the luxuries, but it's not survival. It's not mandatory. You don't need it. And you stay in your role as a provider, as a protector, as a leader. That's how you do it. That's the difference between a man leading from strength and a man just reacting to financial stress every single month. Most of the guys you see on here on social media crying about women, crying about child support, crying about divorce, they didn't build a foundation. They jumped into marriage before they were ready. They built a lifestyle they couldn't afford, and now they're paying for it, literally. So if you're young, you're in your early 20s, man, and you're watching this, don't do it. Don't waste your 20s flexing. Stay home, stack your money, buy your house outright, and build your life on one freaking income. That's how you win. That's how you protect yourself. That's how you protect your marriage. That's how you keep your wife feminine and your masculinity intact. That's how you do it. For the sake of time, I'm going to leave it here. Stay away from women like this. Honestly. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good weekend.